said, this is the guy. Let's do what we can to make him thrive in this system, because that's not rocket science. That's what we should be doing for all of our players, especially quarterbacks, right? You want to put them in advantageous situations. So this is not like something huge, but it does not happen often in the NFL. Now, if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm also sort of like, okay, Carson Wentz was the guy not that long ago. He got paid. So every opportunity I go out there, I got to show out, because the Eagles have shown, I don't know, a lot of the moves they made last year, like none of it made sense. Like the extension for Carson, all of it together. Extending Carson, drafting Hurts, like all of it is sort of like, okay, what's the plan? Like, okay, they want to bench Carson. No, they don't. We're going to wait week to week. We're going to put Jalen in. So as an organization, if I'm Jalen, I'm sort of like, okay, each week, I just got to be the best me. Like, I got to go out there and play the roster. Like I said, I think Dallas has the best roster right now. Eagles, I think they have the worst. They got to add some pieces. This is a team in flux, so that's not a great situation for Jalen Hurts. But when Marcus is talking about Dak is built for this, Jalen is built for this too. Like this situation of, not being the guy initially and having to prove yourself. And when you talk to people around the league, they're like, this kid just has something. This kid is so magnetic. People just want to follow him. So even though this roster may not be where the Eagles need it to be, best believe Jalen is the kind of quarterback that can rally the guys and say, you know what? I can take over. I can win this game. I can put you in a good spot. Like, I can throw you open. So I think we got to be a little cautious about what we expect from the Eagles in 2021. But if Jalen just shows improvement, that's all you can ask, really.
That's a fact. And you're right. When I look at that roster, that is the big energy, Kimberly. Make it make sense. There's a lack of a plan. And I'm glad that the Eagles aren't looking to repeat history that got them in all that trouble last year, where they had no plan for their backup quarterback that actually saved the day based on how things shook up with Carson Wentz. It amounted in a pretty untenable relationship between, quarterback and coach that got both of them out of town. Now, the interesting part to me is that, this is a really quarterback-rich draft. And I don't know if you guys caught, Todd McShay's last draft mock-up, 5 QBs going in the top 9 in the NFL draft, which is wild. But if you have the 6th pick, I'm just glad that they're not looking actively to sort of, create these mistakes that they just did a year or so ago. And they're trying to build with a little bit of stability based on what they saw towards the end of last season. So they're going to figure out how to replace, restructure,
Patrick, when they trying to just, okay, listen, we giving you the keys, right? You at the helm. We giving you an opportunity to go out and see what you can do. So obviously there's the pressure, and I'm with you, Kim. He's built for it. But the bottom line is, when you come out and openly endorse, especially from an ownership standpoint, now the coaches and the general manager and the people, the personnel day to day working with Jalen Hurts, has to have that in the back of their mind, even when they're watching a potential competition play out. But as we stand today, Carson Wentz is in Indianapolis. Jalen Hurts came in the final 4 games of the season, did pretty good, beat the Saints in his first debut outing, which I think is a little bit less difficult because teams don't know what you're going to do or who you're going to be. But it's an endorsement because he's the only guy there. But I expect for them to at least make a move in order to not only solidify that room, but to create some type of competition in camp going forward to make sure Jalen is ready to do what they need him to do at that spot.
Yeah, Hurts the only quarterback under contract as of right now. Now let's move on to Seattle. Now, Seahawks president sent out a letter to the season ticket holders already this week talking about the upcoming season. And interestingly enough, he mentioned all the star players, but neglected to mention the quarterback, Russell Wilson. So, Kimberly, what are your expectations for Wilson in Seattle this season?
What are we doing? What are we doing in Seattle? I I think Chicago Bears fans are really hoping that Russell makes his way over there, right? I completely understand that. I don't see, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, I don't see how you just say, oh, okay, we're just gonna, okay, cool. Russell, he's unhappy. We'll just trade him to somebody else. Like, that to me, I don't see how that happens, right? But as we've seen, crazier things have happened this offseason. But this, Russell sort of talking about, the need for protection, which is clear. We can see the way he's gotten hit. They need to do something with that O-line, right? They need to add O-line pieces. But Russell talking about how he's feeling a little, you get the sense he's feeling a little underappreciated, that other elite QBs are getting all the shine, and Russell, is he really the guy? But it almost feels like, a marriage, like, where, like, your husband or your wife is, like, stomping around, and you're like, what's wrong with them? And, and then you're like, oh, they must be mad. And then you start closing cabinets real, like, loud, like, bah! And it's like nobody's talking, nobody's saying anything, but obviously people in the house are feeling some type of way. That's what this Seattle thing feels like. And I feel like they just need to go to couples counseling for a second, or they just need to sit down real calmly and be like, okay, what can we do? You say to your wife, like, baby, I'm sorry. You know what? I was acting a fool. That letter that went out to those fans.
Really, you're the married one on the podcast. You would know.
I know.
Okay, but I'm not speaking from personal experience, guys. I'm not speaking from personal experience. Everything's great here. But you have those moments. So I think Seattle's got to sit down with Russell. They got to come to agreement, because you cannot let Russell go. I'd be more stunned than Mina Kimes if they actually let him go, because he's so good. He's so good. And every team, if you don't have a quarterback, like a franchise-defining quarterback, you don't have anything. So Seattle has that. So now they just need to do whatever they can to keep Russell in Seattle.
Kimberly, I was about to say, I cannot fully relate at all to the marriage comp, because your girl's still out there in these streets like Charlie's trying to find him. Okay, but you talked about like how much he's been hit. This man, Russell Wilson, has been sacked 48 and 47 times in the last 2 years. He's the most sacked out of anyone in the past 9 seasons, right, since he's been in the league. And so you would think, and I know Marcus Spears gets this, you would think that the Seahawks would learn after watching Dak Prescott be left out of the hype video with the Cowboys. Now, things worked out well for Dak after all of that, so you have to keep your eye on the prize. But I'm just a little bit more surprised that the Seahawks don't realize, like, they're playing this footsie, sort of like who's going to leave first or who's really more mad, and they're trying to flex their muscles. Maybe that's where your marriage comp comes in. But, based on his skill and offensive, firepower at the position, I would think the Seahawks would actually be fighting more to send subliminal messages for him to say. So, I was really surprised at this overall. I still don't think Russ leaves, especially based on how that contract is set up. But the subliminals, like, this is a guy that is extremely calculated in a great way about every move that he makes, not just on football, but his brand. So these things probably are hitting him differently, and I'll be interested to see how this sort of shakes out.
Well, listen, there's a code to how you divulge information, right? If you Russ and you're giving out these breadcrumbs and you're trying to lead somebody down a path to making you believe you either want out or they need to make some wholesale changes in order for you to be happy in Seattle, or you could just be gangster and say, I want the hell out of here. I don't want to be here no more. I want to go play somewhere else in an offense that's going to not only protect me, but I'm going to be able to put up these MVP-like numbers for the entire year. And the offense is predicated on pushing the ball down the field. And it's not Pete Carroll mindset where I want to run it and be physical and all of that stuff. And then the other part is I'm married too. And Kim says, I've been through it. I've been through it all. And the bottom line is this. When you giving subliminals, when you ain't really saying what you want to say, you ain't happy, period. So at some point, it's going to come out. And then you start getting omitted from things. Like my wife used to, if we beefing or if we got an issue, she asked me most of the time, hey, babe, I'm going to the store. You want me to go to the store with you? Yeah, babe, I enjoy it. Let's go to the store. But if she just grabbed them keys and get in that damn car, y'all, and leave and go to the grocery store after the last 9 times she done asked me, then I know something is going on. So something going on in Seattle. What I'm asking is for Russ to say what he wants. what he wants to happen. I want to hear from Russ if that is something he's trying to get to. Anything outside of that, you're just having some issues with your mate. And y'all should talk, communicate, and get over it and move forward, which I think eventually will happen. Yeah. And he'll be playing quarterback for the Seahawks.
All right, well, a destination wish list has been circulating. Dallas was on that list, but of course that is now off the table because Dak is there for the long term. All right, Marcus, thank you so much. Thanks for joining the ladies. We appreciate you. All right, it is...
Much love, my ladies.
It is a takeover here on First Take. All about the ladies, but you know what? We're going to make room for some champs. Three-time trophy winner Draymond Green coming up to kick it with us as the second half of the NBA season starts tonight. In that second half, off to a very rocky start for Myers Leonard, the Miami center, in hot water after being caught making anti-Semitic comments. What should happen to him? We're talking about it.
This is Stephen B. Smith today. That's your B game, brother.
I could have a C game and wax your behind any day of the week, please.
Deluded if you think you've ever waxed me.
You shouldn't even be allowed on TV to go against me.